I'm Andrew Bedell. That's Juice Springsteen. I'm going to be honest with you. That is the best intro that you don't have to pay $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 for in terms of music. Everything's going to be all right. That is 100% accurate, especially in the world of professional wrestling. Roman Reigns returned. We had a good AEW pay-per-view on Sunday. Not quite sure about that Dynamite that followed up on Wednesday, but we'll get into it. I'm Andrew Bedell. That's Juice Springsteen. We are live here on Drew and Juice. Want to thank you all for joining us. Juice, how the hell are you?
Pretty good, Drew. You said it was a great AEW pay-per-view, and I would agree until the end of it. But we'll talk about that, of course. But they're going to run that back so much of how great of a main event that last match was. So a lot to talk about, like you said. And then, Madison Square Garden the next day. 2 great cage matches back-to-back. Got Hall of Fame confirmation. A lot of crazy shit going on, man.
You know, Juice, it's funny you bring that up because I saw a lot of people talking about how this cage was better than that cage. For me, they were 2 great matches. One is completely different than the other, and it all depends on what flavor ice cream you like or what flavor of ice cream you want on that particular day.
Just or enjoy. what particular form of ice cream that the New York State Athletic Board will allow.
Bing, bang, boom.
So... How about you, Drew? How are you feeling? You feeling good? Feeling great?
I'm feeling good. Aaron Rodgers less, obviously. That's not why I'm good, though.
You get Fields. We're going to get Rodgers. What the hell's going on in here?
What the hell's happening here, Harry? That's what
What the hell is he doing here?
Man, that's what it seems like. It's been a crazy couple days here. Free agency and all that other stuff. Hoping the Jets get exactly what they need to, contend for the future. I think this year is probably a lost year, but we will wait and see. I don't think the player. Well, listen, I got a lot of faith in Justin Fields, but we'll have to wait and see what happens with the New York Jets. Seems like the Steelers are the preferred landing spot of Aaron Rodgers. The longer this holds out, the worse I think it gets, and I think the closer it gets to Minnesota, but we'll have to wait and see. Anyways.
That's where I ultimately would think he would go, because it's the best place for him to go with weapons, and it completes the Brett Favre career arc.
Yeah, well, yeah, there you go. I had that this afternoon. A little Dr. Death today for me. A little dead billionaire for you.
Oh, yeah.
So that's good. Somebody's home. We just heard the horn. Hopefully it's your wife. Listen.
Not married.
Well, your girlfriend, whatever. All right.
Whatever?
Well, yeah, it's not whatever. You're right. You're right. Yeah, you're right. Listen, I saw a lot of people going back and forth about
a lot of discourse this week
and everything else. Yeah, we're going to talk about it all. We also want to hear from you guys and girls, so make sure you do that. And I want to state this. Me and Juice literally talked about nothing before he jumped on here besides what I was drinking, which was, Dr. Death by Liquid Death. I want to say this. I saw some people getting into it online with each other about this and that. And then I saw something with somebody who I hold in high regard, and that is Wheezy. I like Wheezy. I think she's a good human being. I think her content is content that a lot of people can dig. And I want to just say this. If we can't just exist and have fun and do the content we want to do and talk about what we want to talk about, this isn't that serious. This isn't life or death. This is a form of entertainment. Nobody's right. Nobody's wrong. It's all opinion-based for the most part.
Yeah.
Just have fun.
Yeah,
you have a bunch of people who operate on this app and they pretend it's a game and they want to run people off and they want to dox people or they want to out people or they want to make people go away and they view it as some sort of award where they can trophy and show it. Look, I chased this person. Oh, they blocked me. You're not cool. And at the end of the day, this should be a spot where everyone can have a voice. And we're always going to be ultra positive here. Now, we will say when things stink, but I'm not going to ever bash another podcast or anything else like that. I will say that I tried to give some podcasters some advice in terms of dealing in dirt or some information that they were given. That's not me saying that this person sucks, that person sucks. Everyone makes a mistake. There's always room for people to eat. And I don't understand why somebody thinks they're better than anybody else, especially when none of you are even qualified to make that assessment. We're all human beings.
Unless you're MJF, then he is better than all of us. But I will say, and I've mentioned it before, Wheezy or any of these content creators that get a pretty big following pretty quick, there's always going to be detractors. There's always going to be people that are jealous. There's always going to be people that think that that person doesn't deserve where they're at
Yeah, they're
when
envious.
it's actually, yeah, of course, it's actually the complete opposite. Those people have actually really hit a niche market and have actually blown up on their own and have then it's not just that they got big, they sustained it. They know what they're doing. They've grown with it. And a lot of people are envious and jealous. And, pro wrestling in general is supposed to be the escape from reality. So talking about it should be even more of an extension of that escape from reality. So when we tie it all back in and people really take it too far and assume that this is so serious, hold off, back off, relax.
Go do something.
It's beautiful here. Finally, go touch some grass, play out in the street with a stack of marbles. What are you?
Yeah,
Your little phrase there? On the freeway?
I'll never understand how, like people, I don't know, for some reason, like their life's mission to do this. But anyways, let's
And
get
they,
into
yeah,
the,
they like it. Like, oh, this person left. Great, I'm so happy. Like, what? Why? What does that do? What does that do for you?
Well, it's not even that. It's just like, who cares? Like, I've never none of these people.
Oh yeah,
I don't know
you, Drew. You are very. It's nothing's getting past it. You're
because you're all, man. Most of the people are internet tough guys, and at the end of the day, like there's nothing that any of you could ever say that is going to get me to like lose sleep or stay up late at night or want to just clap back. I don't want to fight anybody. I don't care. It's just like it's just fun. If you can't have fun, then get the hell out of here. If your life's mission is to run people off the internet, right. I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't know what to tell you, man. All right, Juice. I know what you want to tell me, so let's open this up. What do you got?
You do know, because we never really talk about this, but we got a lot.
You want to talk about wrestling? I know that, right?
Yeah. We already talked too much about football, so let's talk a little wrestling. Let's dive into some odds and ends stuff. Then we'll dive a little bit more into the AEW stuff. Yeah. People throw threats out there as if it's like very normal and casual whenever that is borderline illegal to threaten people and, like you said, dox people. Like, why? Again, we're not going to touch on all the negativity here, but we are only touching on it because this is a very positive show and everybody's comments and concerns are welcome here. We welcome everybody. So that's where we stand. Or sit, depending on what Drew's doing. I don't know what he's doing, but
I'm sitting.
Me too. So let's talk on some stuff we talked about last week, but it actually came to fruition, or maybe it was a few weeks ago. Lex Luger actually is going to go into the WWE Hall of Fame. It was rumored. It was talked about, he got asked in an interview, I believe, with Chris Van Fleet, like, what do you stand on that? And he's like, if it happens, it happens. If I don't go in, it is what it is. But WWE released a video. It was Cody getting to make the announcement like they do with the guys at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, which is an amazing little thing there, especially with Cody's history.
It's a good catch,
Atlanta. Yeah. And Cody's history with Atlanta and DDP was already there. And those guys it was a great moment. And to see all them kind of embrace was really wonderful. And I ask you, Drew, I assume it's a yes, but you think AEW allows Sting to induct Mr. Total Package?
Wow. Good question. I thought you were like rehashing what we talked about last week. And I was about to text you and be like, hey, we talked about this already. That's a really good question. Sting has an AEW contract. So for all the people being like, he's retired, he has an AEW contract. So yes, actively, he is retired from the ring. Do I think Tony allows Sting to induct Lexi? Yeah. Tony is not going to be the one. Go ahead.
Luger was at Sting's final match. He wasn't shown on camera, but he was there.
Yeah. I would say that Tony, everybody can make whatever jokes they want about, my relationship with Tony Khan or whatever, or lack thereof, or that I'm on the payroll or whatever. I can tell you right now, Tony is not going to be the guy who stops Sting from going to induct his best friend. Tony wouldn't stop anybody from doing anything in terms of the Hall of Fame. Now, would Tony allow somebody to work a show or appear live on television that's under contract? Probably not. This is the Hall of Fame. Yes, it will be a WWE broadcast, but Sting is no longer active, so it would work. It's all about whether or not Lex is going to ask Sting, and if Sting is going to, I'm sure if Sting is asked, he will accept. But, WWE, although they do the right thing a lot, they do put some parameters on the Hall of Fame stuff. So they might want to keep it in-house. And I think that if for some reason it's not an outside, person, I think who could induct Lex, there's two people who
Okay.
jump to my mind.
All right.
One of them is obviously Ric Flair, but they might tread lightly on that one.
Yeah. That'd
The
be an
other
interesting choice.
the other one for me, and I know a lot of people are gonna be like, really? And I'm gonna say, yeah, really. I'm gonna say it's a tie. I'm gonna go Ron Simmons, and
Ooh.
I'm going to go Arn Anderson. Those would be the other two that I think could play a factor in
Yeah.
Luger's induction. Nash could because they did the Wolfpack together and stuff like that,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
think Sting's the natural fit.
Right. And Simmons had some battles with Luger in 91 over the world title.
Right.
Arn Anderson, of course, was in WCW. Any of those WCW guys, those Atlanta guys, could be in consideration. But to me, for the Hall of Fame, and it's such a huge moment, and I mentioned it to you that, these guys getting in before they're not here anymore, I think is very important. I don't think that WWE or AEW would let, someone not being, it's Sting. It's not, Orange Cassidy. Like, it's Sting. I
Yeah,
think the
I mean, I
character
could see DDP
transcends the
doing it
companies.
too. I
I
forgot
think
to throw
DDP should be up there, and I really hope it looks like it's going really well so far, but I would love to see Lex Luger somehow walk a little bit on that stage to accept his induction. I think it would be a very positive message there because DDP has done wonders with Scott Hall, Jake Roberts, countless other individuals outside of the wrestling business. So
Yeah.
to see Lex Luger finally get this, I think is well deserved. And I'm looking forward to it. Now, thoughts on the Hall of Fame time and when it's going to air? Because good Lord, it's going to be 3 weeks after the show when we get to see it because of how late they're airing it.
3 weeks.
It's just late, Drew.
Okay.
It's an exaggeration. Come on.
All right.
It was
You never know.
joke.
Yeah, this is the beauty of having their stuff on streaming, whether it be Netflix or Peacock or whatever. So yeah, is it late? Yes. You know who I feel for the most is the people attending SmackDown. And the people who have spent money on the packages and everything else like that, because this was an add-on and it's not cheap. The ticket prices are astronomical. I really enjoyed the Hall of Fames. I would go, and WWE was always so great to me and some of my friends or whatever, they would give me the tickets and I would, pay face value for them some years. And we were literally row one right behind the talent because the talent had the floor seats that were pretty much blocked off the center 3 sections. And then that center 4, there was section 4, 5, and 6, which is behind the talent, was always available and it was affordable. It was affordable.
Yeah.
$2,000 to sit in the front row. That's non-VIP, and $10K to be in the front row camera side the whole night from on location.
Crazy.
Is crazy. Absolutely crazy. $2,000 like that. You used to be able to sit front row at WrestleMania for that.
I mean, it was kind of doable at 2,000.
Yeah. And now you're looking at, Saturday night's main event cost $3,000 to sit in the front row, and you're actually getting wrestling there. For me, the Hall of Fame is always my favorite night of the year because you would hear the best stories. And it was kind of like the one night that like they could talk about things that they normally wouldn't talk about within, respect to some things.
Right.
But yeah, the ticket prices are nuts. I feel bad. I feel bad for the people attending SmackDown because it's the same night. It would be different if it was, a Thursday night or something like that.
Yeah.
It's Friday night and they're not even providing shuttles. Like that's
what?
Well, for the talent, sure. It's the talent hotel.
Well, right, of course.
So basically the talent goes back, they get to, change or whatever else, and then they get to go to, the Fontainebleau or whatever it's called. I think I might be butchering that name. I don't know the hotel.
Potentially. You've done that before.
And then they go. So, and it's, I think it holds like 4,000 people, but man, I don't know. The ticket prices are astronomical for me. I'm not spending $200 to sit in the bleeders. It's not happening.
Right. Even though it is just to hear them talk, but you'd rather get a little closer for a little bit less than $2,000. You would assume.
Dude, we used to sit in a suite sometimes at the Hall of Fame for about $3,000, and that gave you 12 tickets, and it was all you could eat. I was
gonna say that was the whole thing is for that much, not one seat with no food, no drink.
It's crazy. Like,
I'm very curious to see, and I'm sure you can have some insight on this.
Mm-hmm.
Literally just next year and any other year that's not in Vegas, I'm curious as to where the differential room is between prices for all these shows there in Vegas And then
Sure.
in a place like New Orleans, I'm sure it'll still be pretty expensive because it's WrestleMania and business is booming, but it's got to
They
be a
could,
little bit more because it's in Vegas.
well, maybe, but what they could do, here's the thing. Here's why WWE doesn't miss one red hot cent. Okay. WWE already has this building for the night. Okay. For those that don't know, and the building is the hotel. They have this hotel. The hotel is theirs. That's where the talent will be staying, I'm sure, and everything else like that. There'll be heightened security. And I'm sure the WWE got this for free, for next to nothing, to rent out this building or have this building for. So they could have charged whatever the hell they wanted. And I understand. Make money while your product's hot. I have a funny feeling next year in New Orleans, they will do something similar. Maybe a theater, and maybe they do it on a Thursday.
I hope.
I hope they don't go back to the stuff after SmackDown because I did not like that format.
Well, how long do you want these people to sit there for?
That didn't bother me. I went last year and then I went in 38 with Blake Mitchmore. And it was long, but it was, you got your money's worth for the price, but I like this. I like the standalone events.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Not that, plus it would be long, but wouldn't you want to have it different, like separate at least, to where you could choose one or the other? Because you're saying how you feel bad for those going to SmackDown. It's like, wouldn't you be able to want to choose one, or you want to go to both and not have to sit the whole time, or
what I don't like about it's the same day. I think they could have done this Thursday. Why not?
And of course, and that's the thing. They could put it every day of the week. They could have something for WrestleMania, and all of the events would sell out.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday is fine. I mean, there's talk about
Monday for Raw.
Let's talk about a post-show party.
Yeah. So what do you think about that? That was another thing I had on the docket.
This is very Super Bowl-esque. And if the NFL will allow their fans to go to the Super Bowl after parties, then why not? I think the wrestlers and the boys and girls are probably going to hate it. I know that at some Super Bowls when I was there throughout the whole Super Bowl and then go to the after party of the team that would win, the big stars will make a quick appearance and then they're talking to each other and they're like, hey, where can we go to get the hell out of here to avoid all these fans and go? And that's exactly probably what's going to happen.
Right.
So, and I've been at the WrestleMania after party. The WrestleMania after party is a very quiet who's who. It's employees, friends, and family. It's not, fans. Okay. So it's interesting to see WWE kind of adopt this NFL model, which is smart. But I just wonder whether or not the big talent is going to really want to blow off steam with fans, because I don't think they will.
And this is not to take a shot, but it's like, I see some of the breakfast with superstar things, and it's like, I saw fans being like, am I going to spend $500 to have breakfast
pancakes with Bianca Belair?
Grayson, but it's Grayson Waller and Austin Theory.
I just use Bianca as an example.
Well, what I'm saying is
nobody on the roster. I'm not spending $500 on anybody on the roster to have breakfast with them.
Some of the like Undertaker did that sweet at SummerSlam. You wouldn't pay a higher price to sit with someone of a higher caliber, maybe?
No. They're human beings just like me and you. I've met all of them.
Okay, but not everybody is you or me, Drew.
But I mean,
you have to understand, people are willing to spend that money. There's going to be people doing the breakfast, doing the fanatic stuff.
I'm sure there is. Everything. They wouldn't put them on sale if it didn't sell. I'm not flexing here saying I've met all these people.
I'm just saying it's not as you've done it, so you understand that it's not really anything that's like, it doesn't matter who the person is. Some of these people love these superstars and may never see them around to have an opportunity like that. So why not spend that money for a breakfast with said superstar? That's all.
I mean, I get it. There's a market for it. There's a sucker born every day, and there's a market for everybody. I understand that.
Come on. See that it's not that it's a flex, but you're calling them suckers. They're fans. Come on, Drew.
Juice.
Yes. I'm just giving the benefit of the doubt.
I am not paying $500 to have a shared breakfast. Now listen, if you sat and told me for like half a millisecond, if you sat and told me $500, I'm trying to think.
Just you and me, $500. Let's go.
You and Paul Heyman, just an example, get to have a one-on-one breakfast. That's something I might consider. I'm not having a $500 breakfast with, 100 other people. Like, what? No. $500 pancakes. Those
when
pancakes better smack me in the face as soon
the
as
New Day's serving them.
No, right? Yeah, all right. No thanks. I like. It's just
I get what you're saying. I also maybe didn't realize it's more of a everybody in a ballroom breakfast and not 10 people. Even if it was a smaller group, I wouldn't mind it for that price.
I'm gonna give you an example. There was something that WWE did for numerous years with Foley, and it was with RANN, RANN, and that foundation, and that charity. And I donated, and because Foley would offer you like this insane experience, and to me it was worth it because it was going to a good cause. And that's something where I didn't mind spending, company, you could write it off, all this other stuff. But I didn't mind spending $1,000. It's a charitable donation. I would have spent it anyway. But I wouldn't mind spending $1,000 on raffle tickets to see it go to a good cause. And that was something that was worth the investment, even if I didn't win, because that was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. This stuff, the breakfast stuff, listen, if that's your thing, go for it. But for me, I'm not spending $500 on. I would spend $500 on some good breakfast, but that breakfast better be real good. I'm not spending $500 for fucking Aunt Jemima pancakes and some, fresh fruit down the road with that. No thanks. No thanks.
I'm just saying, Drew. People are allowed to spend their money on whatever they want to spend on. Whether you or I don't want to do it.
Yeah, listen. You spend your money how you want to spend it. I have all the respect in the world for all those people who sit in the front row at all those events. Would I do it even if I was a multimillionaire? Probably not. But God, I would do it once. God bless y'all. That's what y'all want to do. I'm not going to tell you how to spend your money. If you got it, go spend it. Go do what you want. Me, I'd rather go have a garage full of cars. That's just me.
Well, you're Drew Paydala, so of course you know.
I mean, think about it. Those boys and girls spend $60,000 to $70,000 on one event.
Yep.
I'll go take an F-150 or a Raptor or something else, put in my driveway. And not to mention,
aren't Raptors already F-150s?
They are, but I was just saying you can get a lower level F-150 for less than $70,000. The Raptors are going to cost you anywhere from like $80,000 to $90,000, depending on the year and the make and the model. But for
Drew's
me,
cars coming up next week in the new spinoff podcast.
For me, it's like you see guys like what's his face, the Smiles guy, right?
Oh yeah, Smiley, green shirt guy.
Good for him.
Every show, even some AEW shows, he's there.
Good for him.
Yeah.
I from everything that I've been told, he pays for him. So good for him. And if it's me, the man has, and God bless him, if he's got the money and that's what he likes to do, I'm never going to tell him how to spend his money. But I'd rather be sitting in a Lambo right now than going to 5 WrestleManias in a row. Just
true,
me.
But it's also, you got to also put the perspective of time in there. And if he wants to spend his time and wants to enjoy the time of 4 or 5 hours instead of a car that he might never drive that much, that's worth it then,
Listen, those WrestleMania front rows are an experience of a lifetime. He's seen some great stuff. They're moments in history. I get it. Everyone values their money differently, and God bless them.
That's fair. Everybody's got a price.
But I do think that they're pricing a lot of these people out. I talk to a lot of these
1,000%.
people all the time, and they're pricing a lot of these people out. Unfortunately, I think the Hall of Fame is a perfect example of that. I think some of the pay-per-views, the PLEs that they're asking $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 for that are, quote unquote B-level pay-per-views, they're pricing them out of that too.
I want to say it was Brock Lesnar guy. I'm not too sure, but it was at Royal Rumble, and he posted like where he was sitting, and he's like, just, I don't know, however many years ago, this same amount of money that I spent for this got me second row with a chair. And he was like above the entrance ramp for this one. Like, it was the disparity between how much things have cost even a few years ago to where they are now is so insane. It's astronomical to your point.
And
wild.
What's crazy is, for me, the men and women who spend the money on this stuff should have every, like the $50,000 WrestleMania seats, the front row and everything. They should have every perk imaginable. Somebody should pick these people up in a bus, which I think they do. And
some of them, if you do the whole package, they've got shuttles and stuff. Yeah.
And they should literally be like fluffing your pillow at night. And at the end of the day, like they should be allowed to go to the after party. That should be a
yeah.
closed event with these people because they're spending $50,000. All right.
Right. I think you're allowed to come in. You spent 50 grand.
50
Come
G's.
on
Like
in.
you should be, and that's ridiculous that they're not allowing these people. And I've been told, going back to your question about the breakfast and stuff, I have an on location rep and I have asked about certain things. And I've also been told that they are offering one-on-one dinners in Vegas from like 10 to 15 grand for the one-on-one dinners. There's
Let alone going to Mania for 10 grand. Just have a dinner with someone for 10 grand.
A lot of dough, man. A lot of dough.
Wow. Well, won't be me. Couldn't be me.
No. And you know what? God bless them. That's all I got.
Hey,
God
more power to them. And again, it's the super fans that, kind of are the lifeblood of WWE at times. You always see them there being the flag bearers. They want to be the fans that are always there, and good for them. Yeah. I couldn't do it. I couldn't afford that. I couldn't justify it.
I need my own butler during WrestleMania weekend.
They better have. You're right.
I want a tequila soda right now. Yes, sir.
They better just have the damn show in my backyard if I'm going to spend 50 grand. Put a ring up back there. I don't care what size ring it is, and just go at it.
Yeah.
Why not?
Wait and see.
But to piggyback off the Hall of Fame stuff, I wanted to kind of gauge this. I know you're iffy on fantasy things or different questions, but I'm just going to throw it out and see what you say.
Oh, sure. I'll fantasy book if you want.
Not really fantasy book, but if the WWE decided to put a match or matches into the Hall of Fame, give me a match you think would be worthy. That's not Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, WrestleMania 12.
If they start doing this, they've run out of ideas and people to induct because they've inducted Triple H 97,000 times and they've inducted. That's where we're at with this.
But they would they would probably do one match a year, let's say. They would not be like 5 matches going in this year because it's already bad enough with the discourse of how good matches are. Could you imagine WWE puts them in the Hall of Fame?
The Super Bowl games go into the Hall of Fame?
No, but WWE does market themselves after NFL with the Hall of Fame, like we mentioned, with Cody coming in, being that guy, and they do model themselves after certain sporting things, but this is just a fantasy thing someone put out there. I have 5 matches I would think are guaranteed to be in. Are you ready to hear them?
Yeah.
So Hogan Andre, I think, would be number 1. That's the first match that's like everybody could probably agree it's going
Makes
in.
Sense.
I got Taker versus Mankind, King of the Ring 98.
Okay, makes sense.
Shawn versus Razor, WrestleMania 10.
Okay.
Rock Hogan, WrestleMania 18.
Yep.
And then I have the entire 1992 Royal Rumble match.
Okay.
That might be an honorable mention, but
not bad,
I could agree on your Iron Man match, but I just know that's your favorite match. But if it wasn't that match, I don't know. What do you think could be worthy of
Hogan Andre?
Yeah. It seemed, again, I would say more than any other match, everybody could probably agree that match has.
I think an event that needs to go into the Hall of Fame, like if you ever wanted to do that, which again I think is really
an event would be interesting, but I think
it's crazy. But I think the war that settles the score, the war to settle the score, needs to be in the Hall of Fame because that really kickstarted everything for WWE.
I mean, wouldn't WrestleMania 1 go into?
But without the war to settle the score, I don't think there is a WrestleMania 1.
The first episode of Raw. I'm just saying the floodgates would open for every.
That's why they'll never do this.
You say that, but whenever we get another incarnation of the Bushwhackers to go in, because going in once wasn't enough, I'm telling you, when they go in as Luke and Butch Doink from Survivor Series 93, we're going to start having to put matches in the Hall of Fame, Drew. I'm just saying.
All right.
So I just thought it was an interesting tweet out there. Not all Twitter is negative, but a lot of it is. But I try to pinpoint certain intricacies and interesting topics to throw out to you, the bald one. So yeah,
I like that.
That's right. Speaking of interesting stuff, let's go into Monday Night Raw at MSG.
The Garden.
Man, it just doesn't get old. Like, it doesn't matter what the building looks like. I know you brought up it doesn't have the same maybe lore as it used to, and maybe not the same look. And I know they don't do the entrance the same way because of how they've changed it. But overall, man, overall, I love the show. Main event was great. A great cage match, an old school cage match. And we'll talk about a crazy new school cage match at the end of the show. which is why I thought both were great in their own right. This was a throwback. The pain was scraping off the sides of the cage and great kickouts and a great story. Roman Reigns returns.
Right.
What are your thoughts on Monday Night Raw?
I mean, this reminded me a lot of the cages I grew up with, like the cage matches I grew up with as a kid. Obviously, it was the big blue cage, but it wasn't that at MSG.
Would you ever want that back for one match, the blue steel cage? Just one match,
sure.
a one-off.
I heard the performers hated it, but sure, yeah.
Jacob versus Solo.
Yeah, that could work. If anybody's gonna get it, it's Punk. But I would say that, I really dug this style of cage match. This is what I grew up on. I grew up on Brett and Diesel. I grew up on, Owen and Brett. I grew on many different cage matches, Foley and Triple H and all that other stuff. So for me, this is exactly what, a cage match is all about. And, there's something that a lot of people I don't think are picking up with one of the participants in this, and that would be Seth Rollins. If you've noticed, and obviously they do this because they can, Seth's outfits match his Titantron, his video. Every time he comes out, I had never noticed this until he came out at the Garden. And because I remember it was purple. Seth wore purple gear. And I was like, Seth's stuff's normally not purple. And then I thought to myself, because last week or a couple weeks ago, it was red. So for me, that's just a little detail that Seth does that I think is really, really cool. And Punk not pandering to the crowd during this match at all. It was serious business for him. Like, there was people with signs and flags and everything else like that, where normally Punk would, high five or he would, do the whatever. Didn't. It was all serious business. And I thought this match on Raw really personified what an old school cage match is. And there was a lot of like magic. The Garden came unglued for a lot of spots. What they did was kind of like pulled the wool over the fan's eye real quick, and they made it look crazier than what it was. And that's what old school cage matches are all about, like working smart. And I thought that's exactly what they did in this match. And the Roman return was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
CM Punk coming out and that shot of him kind of looking back again, the let's shrink this stage down, make it a long screen so people can be above it. Amazing shot, amazing work there. Damn it, the drone shots, utilized now for a cage. I can't wait for the time they do a Hell in a Cell match where they have drones. If they can get to the top of that, like there's so many different ways to utilize drone footage. We saw it with Backlash a couple years ago, coming through the arena, and they do that pretty frequently now. But man, Seth and Punk on top of the cage, and the drone is just like right there. You never got angles like that. You always got from looking up, or maybe a guy was sitting on the cage and you did it, but that's pretty dangerous too. Now you're getting it from outside the cage looking in, and you see the fans. Unbelievable production.
Yeah, I think that I noticed that, and I noticed in AEW's cage match that they had holes cut into the cage that the camera could get in, which I was like, brilliant. So at the end of the day, this is a television product, and if you can't see, then what's the point? And WWE's production and AEW's production for both cage matches were very good.
And I will say, I want to say WCW might have done that before, but they also had guys in the cage. They didn't care. The Crockett guys would just stand in there with their short shorts and get drilled by flying debris. But in hockey, we talked about the parallels with sports. In hockey, with the glass up, there's holes for camera work to be done at the corner of the board. So that's perfect utilization for that to happen.
I've had to replace those camera squares because I used to work at the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum on Long Island, New York. And, when the Islanders or the visiting team would take warm-ups at time, if the camera guy's not there, we would leave the squares in. I mean, the pucks would just ricochet right off those things. And I've had to replace those, but that was put in there for actual photography, because the cable cams catch everything. So you don't really need much.
Right.
But
you're talking about the holes in the cage. I just felt like, man, they're really accounting for any situation, which is what you want to do. You want to be prepared. Like what angles can we get? Because if we miss one, it's like, damn, we got to do it again to get that great angle.
Well, and when you're pricing consumers out of a certain event, you need to have the best possible angle as you possibly can for a television product, and that's what this is. You know, some people are not going to be able to afford to go to Madison Square Garden or your WrestleManias or whatever, so you better make the viewing experience the best possible viewing experience you can. And with that being said, this is not a plug because I don't work for them. If you can watch it at home, go, do that, but go to the Cosm. Absolutely go. It's a fantastic experience.
Yeah, I'd like to make my way out to the Cosm one of these times. It just looks insane.
It is.
From the stuff you FaceTime me for like 10 seconds, and I'm like, I want to be there. Like, that's ridiculous.
I've sat ringside for Raws, SmackDowns, a pay-per-view here or there, like 2 or 3, and it was nothing like I've ever experienced because you actually felt like you're in the ring. You could sit ringside, but you get that ringside view. Like, that's it. And it's your view. You caught every angle. The entrance, you were like right there. The stuff
I had a
in
question
the ring
about
crazy.
that. Who do you think there's a guy in the production truck at WWE that controls what specific camera the Cosm shows?
They have their own production team there. Cosm does on site.
Wow. And they dictate what they want to do.
Yeah, I knew that before. I mean, listen, they might have WWE's production people might assist, but I'm pretty sure that they have somebody there who's directing, just like, Kevin Dunn used to and Mike Mansouri does now for AEW and all that other stuff. So I knew this before I came to the venue, but we were watching back the Rumble. We were waiting for the Rumble to begin, and one of the cameras went out, the Cosm camera, and I saw the Cosm production people come in there and adjust it and fix it. And that was our big tell that they were calling their own shots. So yeah, good on them. Really again, very, very cool experience. Go if you can.
Yeah. So Roman Reigns makes his triumphant return. Same with Paul Heyman, but Paul Heyman didn't really have any issue with Roman Reigns being out there. He kind of wanted to tend to his other client, one CM Punk. Now, I thought it was a wonderful and genius way to end the match where, man, how many finishers were spammed in this match? It was back and forth. Roman, though, just plucks Seth out of the cage to beat his ass, but gives him the win. And it was genius because it's like, I didn't really want him to win, but I want to beat him up. So this is the only way to do it. And tore him up. And the fact that now, people are going to complain. I've still been curious as to this match to me, it would be elevated with some sort of stake. However, I will say this, just Paul Heyman being involved and it being like, man, what side is he going to be on? Could Paul Heyman, end up with a new client at the end of WrestleMania's triple threat match, assuming that match takes place?
Are you talking about CM Punk?
No, I'm talking about Seth Rollins, who lost freaking, by the way. It's no longer Seth freaking Rollins.
You're talking about Seth?
Yeah, could Seth end up being a Paul Heyman guy and Punk and Roman are left out in the dust?
Maybe.
Wouldn't that be a wild turn?
I think it absolutely would be a wild turn. I think we're thinking too much into it. I'm with you.
Come on. What are you thinking too much into it? It's just, I'm thinking of the one match and one thing that could happen.
Yeah, I like the fact that you're a guy who's like, what is this for? Because I'm all for that too. Like, don't get me wrong, I like a triple threat. It's fine. But what is it for? I don't think Punk's favor is going, like I saw some of the discourse and the discussion. I think Punk's favor is going to be that Paul Heyman is in Punk's corner. Who gives a shit about that?
What kind of advantage would that, even in kayfabe, would that truly give Punk?
If nothing. That is what
is he gonna punch Roman and cheat with?
Yeah. Listen, I'm a very positive person, whether it be on the industry or just life in general. But that's dumb. That's dumb.
Objectively, a stupid idea.
Yeah, just think of something else.
Truthfully. Again, it's triple threat, so you would think that's anything can happen in the World Wrestling Federation.
Anything will happen.
So why would it matter if you had a guy on your side or not? He can't give an edge considering you could use whatever the hell you want to use. We'll talk about Cope later.
Speaking of, we'll talk about Adam Copeland later. There you go. I don't like the whole like talk about, he's going to ask Paul Heyman to be in his corner. Who gives a shit? The triple threat could work. A lot of them have, bad blood with each other, but for me, I would have liked to have seen Seth and Roman have a singles match or Punk and Roman have a singles match. I really felt like the Garden cage match was done because Rock is more than likely not working at WrestleMania, because I think that match
thought he was Drew.
Well, I mean, listen, from what everything that's been said, Rock could call them tomorrow and say, "Hey, I'm working Johnny Bravo," and he's working Johnny Bravo.
No,
So,
that's a great show, but no doubt about that. He could do anything at a moment's notice. But it's just funny. You've been very, I'm sticking to my, and you can still stick to him. And if it happens, more power to you. But right now, Rock can be at WrestleMania, but who the hell is he going to wrestle? Everybody's has a match.
I think, my money is on The Rock wrestling because I think that he has to wrestle now, because if he doesn't, I'm telling you right now, with Fast and with the Scorsese stuff, I don't think he's wrestling at SummerSlam, and I don't know the next time you're going to get to see him wrestle. So again, I believe that The Rock will wrestle at WrestleMania, whether it's a tag match or something else, but I don't think it's against Roman, which I think is a shame. But I think that the match at the Garden signaled to me that the CM Punk Seth Rollins thing could have bled into WrestleMania with a cage. They decided to do it at the Garden because they're under the impression that The Rock is not working or is not going to be working Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. So I liked the cage. I liked Roman's return. The triple threat works, but I would have liked to have seen a singles match. That's just me.
Yeah, so that just means we're gonna get a triple threat at Mania unless something drastic happens. We're still over a month out, which is pretty insane.
Right.
But without any stakes, it's just a triple threat match. Does that just mean, it's a bragging rights thing? Like if Roman wins, like what does that do? Like to me, it wouldn't hurt in the slightest to put a number one contender stipulation on it. It's as low hanging fruit of a steak that it could be, but it would make it a little bit more. Like, why do you want to win that match if you're any of those three guys outside of bragging rights?
Right. So for me, it's like, okay, you get to have bragging rights, which is fine, but I think if WWE's smart, they got a Backlash PLE.
Yeah.
Make it the number one contenders match. That works. That works.
And it's simple. Again, it's the simplest ideas that they've
or
done.
Don't have Punk use his favor to get himself in a triple threat. If they announce, here's what I'll say. If they announce Seth and Roman Reigns for night one, the main event of WrestleMania, winner gets a championship opportunity at Backlash.
Then Punk can use that favor.
Then it makes a lot of sense. But just because I don't like these guys, I'm getting into this match, or it's a main event. Miss me with that shit. Miss me with that.
I love nerdy Mark Drew. That's my favorite incarnation of your character.
Yeah, no, you can miss me with that stuff. Miss me with it.
What about that triple threat?
Yeah. The triple threat works. Not everything needs to be for steaks. All right, thanks. Got it.
I don't even like steaks. I like chicken.
Right. Those people probably put ketchup on their steaks, and I'm literally taking their plate and throwing it out the window.
Oh, God.
Right. So I'm just
ketchup on steak. What are we
doing? A lot of your friends have had dinner with me, and they know that if you ever do something stupid like that, like I'm getting up and leaving the table. There's no ketchup on your steak.
The only thing I will do at a bar or dinner table with you is plead to you that you got to watch Spring Stampede 1990.
Yeah, I remember that. I do remember that.
Which you can in full on YouTube now. How insane is that?
You're going to bring up This Is Day show 2 of the WCW. Oh, he's got to get that in. Yes, I remember that night. We're sitting at a bar, tons of sushi in front of me.
And I'm just there. I just hopped in. I came to meet you there.
I texted you and I said, hey, I'm in Pittsburgh for a night. You're like, on my way. I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah. Anytime you want to come down, we'll talk wrestling and you can have sushi.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know if Pittsburgh's getting anything anytime soon. Oh, I do want to
Raw.
Drew and no, I meant Raw here. Drew and Juice. I could break a little bit of news. I don't know. It's not going to be confirmed yet in a little bit. I believe Money in the Bank could be headed to Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Ooh, whoa, that's interesting.
I know they've submitted a bid to host a WrestleMania and a Royal Rumble. I don't think that's going to happen because...
Is it going to be at the baseball stadium?
Yes.
Ooh, is it Miller? What is it now?
It is. It's Miller Park, I believe. Okay. I don't think they've sold the rights. If they did, shame on them because Miller Lite and the Miller High Life is the Champagne of beers. They wanted to host a WrestleMania and a Royal Rumble. I think that's out of the question. First of all, the Royal Rumble January would be freezing. I know it's a dome, but
my God,
those top level, and you can get 12 to 14 inches of snow in the Midwest here on a moment's notice, but those top level seats, from what I have been told, are not properly heated and or insulated, the top part of that building. So it would get very cold up there. And WrestleMania in Milwaukee. I mean, if we're not getting one here in Minneapolis, you're not getting one in Milwaukee. All right.
They're really trying to. Well, I know it. I know it's different. It's not Green Bay, but they're again. Green Bay has the draft. Let's make an event out that way. Like they're really whatever is close. They're just going to try to let's do something similar in the same type of spot and see if it works. So when do you think they might announce that? I guess they haven't really announced much of their schedule outside of. So they announced up till June or early July of,
and they announced Pert's getting
stuff.
a PLE.
Right, but no other date-specific things or event-specific itineraries yet. So.
Go ahead, put that up so you can get his 5 seconds of fucking fame.
God, American Family Field?
He's right. Who cares? It's still Miller Park to me, you fucking jabroni. How about that? It's still Miller Park to me.
That's crazy.
Whatever.
Why would they do
I know Perth is to your question. I know Perth's getting a PLE. I could see them doing maybe non-summer months there. So maybe they get Bad Blood or something like that.
And King and Queen of the Ring will be in Riyadh, right?
More than likely, yeah. There's one event in Riyadh, or I should say Saudi Arabia, either Jeddah or Riyadh.
And then SummerSlam's in MetLife.
Yep, New York, New Jersey.
There's
New Jersey.
A few spots left to fill out that calendar. And
Survivor Series, Bad Blood.
We're still unsure about that potential John Cena event, non-event, but I see something where there's a Saturday night's main event. Is that what it is in Boston?
In Boston, yeah. Yep.
Is that December?
I think so.
Because they also just there's a one in May in Tampa that they announced too.
Cena will be on that.
So is that all four then? That'll be all four Saturday night main events accounted for. Although no, because the first one was in December. So technically, if they were going to go with the 4 a year, they had one already in January. They could do another in May, December, and then I don't know, maybe another one.
So the Saturday night's main event is a rumor for Boston on the 13th.
Let's say that's what it is. That's probably as close as you're going to get to December 31st, Wednesday night. Let's screw AEW with a Cena tribute show.
Well, they should. Because
that'd be incredible.
Well, it's not like something that I want to see happen, but WWE will do that.
No, but I'm just not that I want to see it. I want to see the best possible ideas, and I think they would just have no problem shoehorning it into a Wednesday just to do it, to capitalize on the last day of the year. But I still think Cena might work until WrestleMania 42 because he's a heel. That's just me. That's just me.
Let's see here.
What do you got? You're looking at Tampa?
Oh, we know about Tampa, but I'm looking at the dates. May 24th right now is currently the only. Yeah, that's it for right now. We have Clash in Paris on August 31st.
So that's official. That's an official date then, August 31st?
Yes.
Oh, is that Labor Day weekend then?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Good old Blake. Hope you're doing well, buddy. Yeah. I don't see anything else for the Saturday night's main event. I see May 24th, 8 p.m. Other than that, don't know.
Okay.
So you got the Hall of Fame at 1 a.m. Eastern time.
Mother of God. That is
Stand and
ridiculous.
Deliver the next day at 1 p.m. Eastern time. And then you got WrestleMania Saturday, 7 p.m., Sunday, 7 p.m. Saturday night's main event, May 24th at 8 p.m. And then you got SummerSlam Saturday and Sunday at both 7 p.m. So there you go.
So you wonder what would happen in May as a PLE, if anything would. Because it's the end of April, and then you assume King and Queen of the Ring would be, what, June?
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe the Saturday night event takes over that May slot.
Possibly. I just want to let everyone know that I know people, big Goldberg fans, some of you are waiting on bated breath to figure out where and when Bill's last match or matches are going to be. And I could say that I believe one of them will take place, I've said this before, in Saudi Arabia, and the other one will probably take place at SummerSlam. And I'm going to tell you that I think the two opponents, one we've kind of already seen, okay? And that is Gunther. I think that's absolutely an opponent. And I also think that Goldberg would there you go, good old, with a mouth full of chew, my boy.
And he's not looking, but my dad's happy. I'm happy.
All that matters.
he was in his van, but we caught him.
That's all that matters. I would say Gunther and I would say Braun Breaker are his two final opponents.
I mean,
That's
he'd
it.
win one. He'd win one of those. But if it's Braun Breaker in his last
I think he's
one,
gonna. I think he's gonna pass the torch to Breaker. I think he's got a
yeah,
lot of respect for Steiner, Scott, and Rick, and I
yeah.
think that's. I think that's what he'll do.
Hate to do this again. Match you got to watch, Drew. Fall Brawl 2000, Scott Steiner and Bill Goldberg. It's one of the last great matches in WCW.
All right, I'll check it out.
Unbelievable. Yeah,
Check it out.
so check that out. Something else you should check out is next week, and I'm going to tie these together. Raw the next 3 weeks, 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 3 p.m.
Yeah, you don't.
Woo-hoo! Drew, as a
The
fan,
kids aren't even out of school at that point. I'm not
okay.
even done with work. Like
Well,
that's craziness.
Well, I will be done with work. And as a guy who's always, countless times, tried to avoid spoilers for these taped international shows
Oh yeah,
for
yeah.
years, and also kind of feeling like, yeah, it was taped. It might not even be that great. Why would I waste my time? It's going to be live whenever it's on. And I'm thrilled to see it. And next week is it, where the hell are they at? Brussels?
It's bro. Yep.
Cena and Cody in the same ring. The first time we get to see Cena probably talk since, well, I guess he didn't really talk at the Chamber, but man, what do you think happens? Is it just going to be a promo battle leading to some physicality?
No, I mean, I think you're probably like John needs, however long John wants to take to deliver a promo. And I think it's, everyone's been waiting. And I think it should be, a very big deal. So I think John should probably kick off the show, take as much time as he wants. It's taped realistically. I mean, you could watch it live, I believe, but
yeah, at 3 p.m. That's what it's live, Drew.
Well, I mean, I'll be watching it taped. And I think they'll probably edit it and whatever by the time I watch it at 7 or 8 o'clock at night. So yeah, everyone is going to be very excited to hear what John Cena has to say.
And
I
look
think
like.
Yeah, and I think Cody, him and Cody with a face-to-face works. John can't get physical yet with Cody. He's got to drag this out a little bit. Like,
well, he already was physical at Chamber.
Right, and he beat the holy shit out of him. I know the makeup's starting to get bad, but I think that they need to avoid physicality. I think they could absolutely have face-to-face and some verbal jarring. But John and Cody, the first time they should actually exchange blows, in my opinion, is at WrestleMania.
I tend to agree. I also think that I don't know. Wouldn't you want to get a little bit of heat back for Cody leading up into WrestleMania, even if it's just God, anything, a little cheap shot, a slap, something.
So here's what I'll say. I think Cody is going to try and pull physicality out of John, and I think John should be the one to avoid it at all costs. And I think that Cody's chase of John makes it very like fight me, all this other stuff. Like you wanted this, you're getting it. And John kind of being like, no, I'll say, because Cody's got the championship. Cody holds all the cards, and all of a sudden he looks weak. That's interesting. That's an interesting way to write this. That's how I would do it.
Well, he looks weak, but it's also of newly healed John Cena, who's going for the record of world championships, who has the backing of the final boss.
I'm saying he looks weak in terms of like he wants John to like fight him, and John was like, "I'll save it for WrestleMania, brother."
I wouldn't say weak. I would say desperate.
Right, same shit. I mean, when you're desperate, you look weak.
I don't think he looks weak. I think he's coming out there with a black eye. He wants to fight. He's not weak. Hey, kayfabe only, brother. We'll talk about that later.
All right, what else you got on the docket?
So, I mean, outside of that, any other WWE stuff you wanted to touch on? The only other thing I wanted to bring up was there are rumors that Jeff Cobb could be heading over to the World Wrestling Entertainment here soon.
The World Wrestling Entertainment. That's like me saying the Major League Baseball. I think that Jeff Cobb fits the WWE mold. I really think that AEW's lost some people in terms of people that I would make a point to like sign.
Yeah.
And I think it's unfortunate because I really do believe that AEW should have done a better job, in my opinion, with trying to keep some of those people and the talent in AEW that have appeared on their television. Now, and listen, Everyone's like Stephanie Valcour. Stephanie Valcour never wanted to work for AEW full time. She wanted to work for WWE. That she said it was her dream. It was this, it was that, blah, 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 blah. So Stephanie was never, I don't think Stephanie was ever even going to consider working for AEW. I think as soon as WWE came calling, she was GONE gone.
And it's a lot of wrestlers' dream to go to WWE, and that doesn't mean that's a slight at AEW, because WWE's been around for 50 years. Of course, it's a dream to go there. AEW's been around for 5 years. It is okay to either go there or have aspirations to go somewhere else, because at some point you could go to AEW, see Mox and Cope and who else is over there. Like,
what? Okay. Yeah, but what you don't want is you're giving equity on your television programming to younger stars, and then all of a sudden they take that, hammer it, and then they skedaddle to WWE. And in Stephanie Valcour's case, it was very obvious that Tony saw a lot in Stephanie. I saw a lot in Stephanie. AEW saw a lot in Stephanie. Everybody saw a lot in Stephanie, and so did WWE. And she hightailed it. It's an unfortunate circumstance, but guys like Jeff Cobb, they have the feel, the look for WWE, and AEW needs to keep a couple of those people because AEW right now is very much a lot of the, best wrestlers, but they don't have these big, larger than life talents besides like Willie Hobbs and Brian Cage. And I love me some Willie Hobbs, but those guys are not pushed to the forefront. And I think, AEW could use a little changing of the status quo with that.
Right. And I mean, the easy comparison is Bronson Reed to Jeff Cobb. And you've seen what they've done with Bronson Reed. He was kind of in the background for a while, and then boom, one night of hitting 6 tsunamis on Seth Rollins, and all of a sudden he's in a pretty big program, and that's all it takes, for a guy to be legitimized. So a guy like Jeff Cobb, all it might be is, hey, he comes in, decimates someone, boom, he's right into the title picture at any level. And I think WWE at this point knows how to utilize those talents better and better.
Jeff Cobb will 100% be pushed to the absolute moon in WWE if he can get over with the crowd. He will 100% be a star there too. He's got the look, everything. It's very reminiscent of other stars that have flipped over there, or will. Wardlow's another guy. Like when Wardlow becomes a free agent, Tony Khan decides to cut Wardlow's going to be a big deal in WWE. And that's
I've
because
been saying that I think he would thrive in NXT, he'd thrive on Raw and SmackDown. I think he'd thrive anywhere over there.
Yeah.
And that's not to say he didn't thrive in AEW. That's why we're saying this. He's gotten a lot of great moments in AEW, but it might have stalled for one reason or the other. I know he's been injured too, but if he gets the opportunity to go to WWE, I don't see why he couldn't be immensely successful there too.
He will be. He will be, unless for some reason the crowd just doesn't connect with him, or he just can't wrestle. Which I don't see that being the case. I'm a big Wardlow guy. Same thing with Hobbs. Hobbs has all the tools you would want in a superstar. Hobbs is Ron Simmons times 2 in terms of like size.
He's Ron Simmons
huge.
And Butch Reed in one guy.
Yeah, he's huge. So for me, it's like, I don't know. I do something with that guy.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I just felt it was very interesting. It was like, oh, Jeff Cobb rumors, and then I think Sapp might have put it out that internally he might have been listed on a roster already. Like they really are potentially planning for him to be there and to get things moving with him. So I'll be looking forward to that, because who's at the top right now? I mean, of course, maybe by the end of WrestleMania he's not, but who's at the top right now? Gunther, a big guy, a bigger guy, a different type of style than we've ever been used to seeing. Yeah, who can work? That's what I'm saying. A big guy that can work. Jeff Cobb, Bronson Reed.
He's a throwback, in my opinion, to like the older, generation of stars and main eventers, and he could absolutely work. Gunther's very different from a lot of the people that are on top in WWE right now. Cody's a great worker, but Cody's a character, a larger than life one. You can look at who's the world heavyweight champion, which is Gunther, but you look at the guys who are challenging for the championship right now. John Cena is very much a body guy, but John Cena is like Mr. WWE. Jey Uso got over with the crowd, not really your chiseled out of granite. Roman Reigns is definitely chiseled out of granite. Brock Lesnar was chiseled out of granite. These are guys who they looked like larger than life superstars. And Wardlow, Hobbs, all those other people who are currently in AEW, and Jeff Cobb could easily be, the next big thing in terms of who WWE decides to push, because they have the look. So we'll see.
Right, and a lot of stuff you mentioned there is very apropos. Like, no matter what you have, but as long as you have a lot of it, you have a great body, or you have a lot of charisma, or you have a lot of connection with the fans. If you have a lot of one or two of those things, you can work on the other stuff as you progress, and WWE will hone in and make sure, okay, well, you really are great at this, so let's push that to the moon, and you'll work on the other stuff as you go along, and then you'll be a more polished overall superstar at the end of the day.
Yeah, I felt like AEW has done a really good job with that with Mariah May. Like Mariah's a
1000%.
okay wrestler. Very, she's solid in the ring, but man, is she beautiful and can she cut a freaking promo? Holy moly.
It doesn't hurt to work with Toni Storm, who's at the top of her game too,
No, and you want to know what? Like at the end of the day, was Steve Austin and Hulk Hogan the best workers in the business? No. But did they put an ass in the seats? Yes, they did. Did they make you want to watch and buy a ticket? Yes, they did. And Mariah May makes you want to watch AEW. So not everything is about having 5-star bangers. I'm sorry to let, everybody else, be upset about that who thinks that that's what it is. But at the end of the day, if you can get a reaction from the crowd and they could resonate with you, you will make money. And that's what it's all about.
Resonate is a great word. The more you work with me, the better your articulated vocabulary will become.
I'm gonna let that one slide.
Why? I have an English degree, Drew. Come on.
You do. You're a journalist, right?
Well, I'm an analyst with a journalism degree.
I'm an opinionist with a psychology and a sports management degree.
That's something. Yeah, of course. A degree is a degree. It's tough to do. Not everybody has one. Yeah. But I think that pretty much covers everything on the WWE side. Just a lot of interesting news, notes, Raw, MSG. We want to touch on how great the theater at MSG looked for NXT Roadblock this past week.
Yeah. So I was told that by a lot of people who work in WWE that venue presented a lot of challenges for production.
I bet.
And they were just like, boy, this building is tough. And, I'm sure that they felt this way about other buildings, but it's a unique building. I thought it was shot very well. 4,000 people is the perfect venue size for AEW and currently NXT, but both AEW and NXT are at that level where it's like 5,000 to 7,000 people at max for television. So yeah, I liked it. I liked the way it was shot. I liked the vibes. I liked everything from it. I think that the longer this trend continues with NXT, and if they can get guys like we mentioned, Wardlow and some others, I do think that their attendance will continue to rise.
And you brought up how you think they're going to really start like touring again.
Yeah, I think that, I think there'll be a global touring brand. So,
wow. It's so crazy because they were just a developmental. Then they got on the WWE network. Then they became huge. Then they became touring and almost bigger and better than the regular Raw and SmackDown product. COVID hit and they had to kind of restart and they're back again. It's unbelievable.
Back again.
Yeah. So the NXT brand really doing a lot and it has survived a lot. And now they're working with another brand that's worked and survived a lot, TNA. It's unbelievable, the parallels between the two. If you really,
and I'm going to make a prediction. I'm going to make a prediction here. I think that somebody will be holding the TNA championship in 2025 that is currently under the WWE roster.
WWE roster, NXT roster,
main roster.
Whoa. You mean TNA world title?
Correct.
Wow. They talk about the forbidden door. That would like be the forbidden house. Yeah. Having the world champion be that's crazy.
The forbidden house. I like that one.
I don't think has that ever been done before, Drew? Oh, wow. The only thing I can come up with is when it was that weird period in like 2000 when Mike Awesome was the ECW world champion.
Oh, and Taz went in.
And he was in WCW and he lost it to Taz, who was a WWF guy at an ECW show. But outside of that, I don't really think that's happened.
And Taz showed up on SmackDown with the ECW World Championship. I remember that. Take on Triple H. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. So outside of that, I don't think it's ever happened. So if your prediction comes to fruition, I think that would be wildly entertaining. And I'm very curious to see who that would potentially be, especially if you say main roster.
Mm-hmm. Might have a
So,
big WrestleMania match here coming up soon too.
what the
I'm
wrestler
not.
or the
I'm
TNA
now.
World Title would be at WrestleMania.
No, the wrestler. I'm
Okay.
narrowing the field for you. So
That's what I was getting at. I was like, you're going to defend the TNA title at WrestleMania. What the hell is
no, I don't
going
think
on
so.
around here?
No.
Not
What
yet.
the hell? Yeah, we'll
Well,
see.
so let's talk about another brand. AEW. Hell of a week for them. Just had Dynamite this past week. We had Revolution on Sunday. Said it before, said it again. I'll keep saying it as long as they keep running pay-per-views. I don't see it changing. Their pay-per-view game is undefeated, man. Every single time. Like, I feel like we'll talk about the negativity towards the main event, but to be fair, how fair really is it to follow like 3 main events in a row that could have main evented any other show? Like
So
the back half of this card was
yeah,
unbelievable.
and it was loaded, and I put a tweet out about it, and I stand on it. The only thing, again, when you do something like this, WWE's done it too. Like I'm going to give you guys and girls an example. A lot of people aren't talking about this. A lot of people don't mention it because they're either very WWE biased or they're very AEW biased or they just don't pay attention. Go back and watch Elimination Chamber. Sammy and Kevin beat the holy shit out of each other, and nobody gave a flying fuck about that Elimination Chamber for the men. Nobody gave a shit. Okay. And then we had The Rock and Cody and John Cena second. And that's all anybody was talking about because if you go back and watch the Chamber match, it sucked because nobody cared. The fans were shot from Kevin and Sammy. And the same thing holds true here, but I like the way that the Chamber was backloaded. So for me, and I get it, it's not for everybody. I would have switched maybe one thing because I thought the backloading of this pay-per-view for Revolution was a great call. Tony and Mariah, I would have flipped this match. I'd have put this match where the cage match is between Ospreay and Fletcher. I would have put Ospreay and Fletcher right after MJF and Hangman, and I still would have had a backloaded 3 because I think once you did the ladies, which was fantastic, and then Tony and Mariah, and then you came out and you did Takeshita and Kenny Omega, which was fantastic.
Yeah.
And then you have the cage match with Ospreay and Fletcher, which was, I mean, you were left just being spent after that match, wondering whether or not these men were going to walk afterwards. Then you have Copeland and Mox, and it was just like, man, good luck following that stuff. Like they could have flip-flopped, but if you took any of those 3 and even put them in a jumbled order, it's still very hard to follow any of them in 3 in a row. So while I enjoyed it from a sitting at home standpoint, I could see why the crowd was just spent.
Yeah.
So, I would have flipped the cage match.
I tend to agree there. I was an advocate for the women to main events, but I could have seen some of these matches could have made, like the cage match could have main evented, to be completely honest with you, as a spectacle in general. I mean, I know there's no title on the line, but just, it's a big spectacle. They might want to do that. But I also felt that like the type of match that Cope and Mox wrestled just didn't. They were just exchanging forearms for the better part of 5 minutes straight. Now, of course, lo and behold, Christian cashing in and it becoming a triple threat in the last 3 minutes of that match were incredibly exciting.
Well,
but
and I think
it was a drag to get there. That was
I think that
problem.
Well, I think that was done by design, Juice. I think this whole match was, going to be a certain way, and then they figured, how do we get the contract off of Christian? Because that's looming. The fans are talking about it. We need to, tighten up the story. We need to tie up loose ends. And they did. They got the contract off of Christian, and now they could just have a regular match. I wouldn't be surprised if Christian, because it's a street fight, screws Copeland again. Or maybe, I'm going to say this. Here's a bold prediction for me. I do believe Copeland and Christian are going to team again before this run is done. So I could see Christian screwing Moxley and Copeland and Christian kind of shake hands and they're buddies again. And they're a heel team and then, Copeland will probably drop that championship to Swerve eventually, but then I could see Christian and Copeland winning the tag tags.
Hurts Mox does Christian, so Cope wins the title is what you're saying in the street fight.
I think Cope is
the heel works way better to me then.
And I'm gonna say this: Adam is very, very in tune with what the fans say all the time. He's very, very smart.
Yeah.
And whether you want to say that he goes into business for himself or whatever else, I'm not there. I don't know that. His win-loss record speaks for itself, but I'm not there.
He didn't take the fall. Christian did. People
Right,
are
and
like, look at this. Somehow he loses the match, but he didn't even have to take a fall.
Maybe it's part of the story. I don't know. I'm not there. Does it seem like he calls his own shots with Moxley and some others? Sure. I don't know that to be a fact. I'm not there. I don't know how the creative, plans went. Don't know. Don't care. The finish was the finish. Do I believe that Adam Copeland is reading everything on the internet and seeing the reactions and everything else like that? And he's very smart. He's very intuitive. He's going to sit back and be like, okay, maybe I should just go be a heel because they already think I'm this giant piece of shit. I'm just going to go do it. Why not?
I'm just going to be a piece of shit.
And Copeland is a fantastic heel. So for me, it works.
That's how he built the best parts of his career, was being the ultimate opportunist. And this lines up perfectly with the Christian heel character that's been best heel in AEW so far.
You want to talk about shockwaves? Go ahead and have Christian help Copeland. They both smile at each other. 1, 2, 3. They embrace, flip off the fans, and we're off the air on AEW Dynamite.
I would take that. Yeah.
That would get some people talking. And then you have the Copeland Swerve match, which Swerve has wanted for a very long time. It's one of his idols. You could have it at Dynasty. I don't know if Swerve wins. And then you have a rematch at Double or Nothing. And then, Swerve and Hangman, or Swerve and Will at All In.
Swerve and Hangman at All In seems to be the play.
Yeah. And that works. Will Ospreay is a fantastic talent, and he's going to get his just due. It all depends on when they're going to put the championship on Ospreay. I have a funny feeling it's sooner rather than later. I would say by the end of 2025, Will Ospreay is holding a world championship.
I could see that happening for sure. It's just tough. It's a good problem to have, but it's tough when Ospreay, you could see, and he's like ready, right? It's not every day that you get a guy that's done a lot. He came off a hot program. He was victorious in said program. Man, he really could be the champion, but Swerve 2, Hangman 2. Meanwhile, the champion is Mox. It's a crazy how many guys are like.
Well, and Ospreay said him. Yeah, and Ospreay said himself, like, hey, I don't want to be a transitional champion. So good on him for knowing that and wanting that and everything else like that. And like I said, I think Ospreay is going to be a world champion by the end of 2025 at a minimum. So
yeah, I tend to agree with you there. Just in general on this show, Hangman and MJF, great match. Crazy spots, tombstones.
Good call to have Hanger win this one too, in my opinion.
I agree. And then, man, all they had to do was have a backstage promo this past week. Sold the hell out of that. These guys don't need to do a lot, yet I'm sold.
I do think it's interesting, talking about, Hangman Page and All In and everything else like that and MJF. I think this year's Owen is going to be loaded, but I think it's interesting that we're already talking about participants in the Owen and we're 2 months away from it. I need them to focus on what's happening in March and April.
Well, it's tough when you have that All In banner hanging last fall.
I get it, but do we hear about the Royal Rumble in fucking September?
I'm just saying what they do, Drew. You only even have they only start pointing to the WrestleMania sign once it's Royal Rumble. All In banner's been out since last November.
You want to point to the sign? Point to the sign. I don't give a shit. But why are we talking? Why are we talking about what we're doing at the Owen, which is in 2 months? That's like, again, we're at Survivor Series and somebody is not in a world championship match and they're like, I'm gonna see you at the Rumble, and we're like, yo, listen, buddy, the Rumble's 2 months away. What are we doing here? Focus on the here and now. And that I'm all for making sure that the fans know where some of these talents are going, but you didn't need to announce. Will said he wants to win a world championship. That's fine. Ospreay wants to win a world championship. I'm here for it. He can announce himself and be like, hey, that's my next goal, but he doesn't need to talk about the Owen right now. And then Jay White talking about the Owen. I was like, oh, is the Owen next week? No. Oh, all right.
And it also, it's very risky to kind of put that out there because anything can happen in between now and then. Oh, I guess I can't be in the Owen. Like, you're saying this and you really want it to happen. And then what happens if an injury takes place or the booking changes or someone leaves or any number of things could happen. And then, oh, I can't wrestle in the Owen that I promised the fans 2 months ago.
Well, and that's the other thing. Like Mercedes Moné has a big independent booking this weekend at House of Glory in New York. And I mean, I think she's working a 6-man tag, 6-woman tag, whatever it is. But if she gets hurt, man, they're screwed. They're screwed. And the other thing is,
I know she can't beat. She can't beat everybody when she's hurt.
The other thing is like, those House of Glory tickets, the front row is sold out, but they were very highly priced. And when you could go see Mercedes Moné in AEW for half the cost of what you're charging independents, like I think the promoter's got to be smarter than that in terms of like what you're selling the tickets at. You want to sell that building out. It's loaded. Santana's on it. Mercedes Moné's on it. I think I want to say one of the Samoans is on it. I want to say it's Zilla. Like they're loaded.
Check it out, Drew. See what's going on.
Yeah, they're loaded. Yeah, Zilla versus Dijak. I mean,
well, there you go. You could sell the whole show on Dijak Zilla.
But the show's loaded, So I don't know. I just think Indy Hartwell's going to be there. I think it's it's a big deal. So, you would have liked to have Danhausen's going to be on it. You would have liked to have seen some more tickets being moved. Private Party's going to be on it. So listen, House of Glory is loaded.
Private Party?
Oh my God. So again, it's just very interesting how AEW wants to talk about the Owen. And I get it because people are like, well, what's Jay White doing? What is Will Ospreay doing? Well, here it is. But I think we're a little too early for this shit. Just me.
And isn't it kind of weird that that's how they're choosing to have the wrestlers like state where they're at and what their aspirations are? Like, shouldn't you be worried about what is next? Not, oh, in 2 months, this is where I'll be. But what about next week? Like,
I don't think it's the talent.
About,
like the talent shouldn't be telling me this. Their feuds and matches and stories and programs.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Should be telling me this. And, MJF and Hangman Page had a great match. Hangman Page should probably be the next contender right after Swerve because de facto this, de facto that, you're the number one contender. So I don't know. It's very interesting. I don't hate that they're trying to tell us where they're going and what they're doing and who's going to be where, but the stories and the matches and the weekly episodic television should tell me that as well.
Right. And it's not the same, but it's reminiscent of when, WCW would tape so many shows in advance and it would be like a title change and the guys would come out with the belts, but the title change hasn't aired yet. And like, what if something happens in between? Like, again, planning for the Owen ahead of time, but it's like, we're not even accounting for any potential incident that could happen in between now and then where that's all null and void. And now we have to account and say what happened.
Yeah.
Why did Will Ospreay talk about that whenever he could have, I don't know.
Yeah.
It just seems like you're setting so much up and that's good, but one thing messes up and it's all, you got to restart again.
Yeah. And it's interesting, we saw the debut of Speedball Mike Bailey. I liked what I saw from him. He could absolutely go. I'm really not familiar with his work. He looks like a young Eric Bischoff. Go look it up. He looks like a young Bischoff. He does. I know the karate thing and everything else like that, but he does look like Bischoff.
Oh my God. Ninja Stars.
No, I'm just saying.
No, I'm just saying that was the product that Eric Bischoff sold.
Yeah. Here, you ready? Hold on.
Well before. And then he, of course, I think he wore a gi when he fought Flair at Starrcade 98. So that would make sense.
That's Speedball, right? We can get this to focus.
Man, every week you try to do this. I got
it's because of my light. I have this really, whatever spendy light. Let's see if I can get,
because you look pale as hell.
There's like Bischoff. Come on.
God. Yeah. Now Bischoff doesn't necessarily have the length of that mullet that Speedball does, but still.
Yeah.
The more you can put that phone up every time. It ain't going to show.
Any hoot and hollering. I liked what I saw from Speedball. I thought it was a good match. I think what they're going to do is they're going to put Speedball against Kenny at Dynasty, and it makes a lot of sense. I liked Kenny's promo. What I will say is that I am of the mindset that everybody was expecting Speedball. I would have loved to have seen Josh Alexander, and I think Speedball is going to be one of those guys who, Mike Bailey could absolutely go, but it's like, what do we do with Mike after he loses to Kenny? Because he's not beating Kenny. And I think that's going to be very telling on what happens with Mike Bailey going forward, because he was great. I just want him to maintain be maintained in that booking as good and having relevant matches and being on
momentum.
television.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, we'll have to wait and see.
And that's the problem at times with AEW. It's so focused on, great wrestlers having great matches, but only so many can consistently do that and win and challenge for titles and ascend on the
Right.
card. Like the more muddied it gets when you introduce a Mike Bailey or any of these guys, it's tough someone has to win and get to another point and go for the titles, but someone has to lose. So people would complain about with Ricochet in that regard, but to AEW's, because he went to Collision early, but to their credit, now he's in a world title #1 contender match on pay-per-view. Give it
Well,
some time and see what happens, but you got to have plans.
Yeah, and the other thing is like Penta, big Penta fan, but he's been on Main Event. So, you could say whatever you want, but maybe they don't feel as if Penta's there or all the way there, or maybe they're just waiting for Ray Phoenix to come in. I was
going to say they're probably waiting at this point.
That was my thought pattern too, that some people will say that they don't believe that Penta's got everything. I think they believe it. They're waiting for Ray Phoenix to come in, and they're going to have a big WrestleMania match. Yeah, and you want to know what? Not everything needs to be rushed. Mike Bailey getting into a match with Kenny. They have some history I've seen, so that works. It's just, what are we doing after this with Mike Bailey? That's the big tell. And the same thing
you hate to see him go to a pay-per-view match, a huge deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Coming in, losing, but a good effort. But if he's not even on Dynamite the next week, even if he's on Collision the next week, it's like maybe it's not a demotion, but it looks like, wow, you lost on pay-per-view. Now you're not even on our main show.
Bingo. And that's the other thing is like you saw Megan Bain just destroy everybody.
Killed everybody.
On TV, snapping necks and cashing checks. I'm here for it. What I am saying, though, is where's Mariah? She just lost, right? So I get it. You could have her take a week off. She just had the shit kicked out, bloody, beaten, whatever. Yeah. But where's Mariah going forward? What are we doing with Mariah? Is Mariah going to align with Tony? Is she going to continue to chase Tony? Is she going to go after Mercedes? Like, what are we doing with Mariah?
Because another L for foe for Monet.
Because Mariah's been very captivating, and I don't want her off my television, and I don't want to lose her. So what are we doing?
Can we put up what Blake said in the chat on screen about Mariah?
No, I don't think so. No.
Okay, good. I didn't think it was appropriate for this very family friendly pod.
Oh no, I've dropped like 4 F-bombs. That's a little sexual.
It's getting late, it's
this isn't the Spice Channel, Mitch Moore.
Spice Channel, wow.
Do you even know what the Spice Channel is, you youngin?
Yeah. Oh, well, I was going to reference a Seinfeld reference. People don't bump into each other and have sex. This isn't Cinemax.
Oh yeah, I remember Skinamax late at night.
Skinamax, or from Tommy, or is it from Tommy Boy or Black Sheep? Richard, were you watching Spanktravision?
That's Tommy Boy. Yeah. We're in the hotel together.
Because it was.
What was your favorite little rascal? Is it Spanky? You sinner.
Man, that movie's coming out on 4K in 2 weeks. I cannot wait to own that.
All right. That's a great movie, classic. I've probably seen that movie 10,000 times in college. That was on constant rotation. That Cable Guy, Half Baked, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, and I want to say Happy Gilmore.
Oh well, yeah, and that sequel's coming out. You've said that you like Black Sheep almost more than Tommy Boy, or you do?
I do. I feel like there's more. Like Tommy Boy obviously got all the praise and it got all the hype, and I feel
it was like the first one. I think Black Sheep got forgotten.
I think Black Sheep has more like hysterical one-liners and like comedy in it than Tommy Boy does.
I just love that it's the same movie, the same 2 actors, and it's a little different.
Same
plot.
Shit.
And it's amazing. That doesn't even affect me. Plus, you get Gary Busey in Black Sheep.
That's true.
It's crazy.
Black Sheep.
Oh man. Keep looking at what happened on Revolution. We mentioned Monet gets the win.
Shocker.
No shock.
Shocker.
No surprise there. Good effort by Momo Watanabe, but unfortunately, everybody gets fed. So,
and I got my neck chopped off because people were like, "You don't want to see a match of the year?" Well, like, yeah, no problem watching it. But what is Mercedes doing after that? She'll do something. Yeah, she's with Billy Starks, which is going to lead to Athena. And what's going to happen to Athena? Is Mercedes going to crown Athena? I don't know.
Maybe because they've I don't
stop
know.
it. We are full go. We are a full go into the whole Mercedes beating out Jade Cargill's reign. So.
It's still like 200 plus days away, Drew. That's so long.
Buckle up, Buttercup. We're a full go.
I hope she gets 1 day before and then loses.
Yeah. Just again, the Revolution was
Give
great.
it to Willow. Give it to Stat. I don't know.
Yeah. Revolution was great. Dynamite was meh at best, in my opinion. It was like okay.
Interesting choice to main event.
Yeah.
To say the least.
Yeah.
Did you like how
Athena's a heel? Okay, like producer, put this up. Like I
love how that's like forever. She's always forever now. She can't. There's no way. Like John Cena. John Cena was a face for up until last Saturday, a couple Saturdays ago.
Who gives a shit?
Like,
Mercedes beats everybody. She could be face, heel.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who you are. She's gonna win.
A bicycle, your sister's ass. She's still gonna lose. She's still gonna lose. Mercedes is not losing until she does.
Maybe she won't. Maybe she'll just retire forever TBS champion.
It's the women's Kenny Omega. That's what it is right now. But Kenny actually
she's the belt collector. Yeah, well, I know. Kenny was
killing it.
Yeah. Wanted to touch on Swerve gets the win over Ricochet. They have a great moment with the robe and a great pop. Like it really mattered. And the story paid off. Did you like how even if it was a lackluster, say, main event of Revolution, it ended with a little bit of a higher up, like here's Swerve, this is the next guy. It was progression, unique, and it kind of saved the end segment because of how people felt to me.
Yeah, I'll say this, like that pay-per-view made me want to watch Dynamite. And then I watched Dynamite and I was like,
I want to watch a pay-per-view again.
All right. Okay. Not great.
Can we get to Dynasty?
But okay, and I thought to myself, all right, I want to see what happens on Dynamite. And then we got Dynamite, and I was like, I want to go to bed.
Tony Storm's promo was good. How about that match, though? How about that Tony Storm Mariah May match? Was it too bloody for you?
No. First of all, I'm a man. It's okay. It's a little bloody sometimes. I'm okay.
There was definitely There was definitely people online. There was definitely people online that were like,
not what I meant, folks.
What are you talking about? People online that would be like, oh, I don't want to see women bleeding in wrestling. Okay.
Right.
Tough. They did it. They had a callback to the Taipei death match between Ian and Axel Rotten, putting their fists in the tape with the glass. That was a Taipei death match. They had tape fist. I'm telling you, I'm explaining. I'm educating you, if you will. ECW 1995, Ian and Axel Rotten, and they had taped fists, but they dipped them in glue and then dipped them in glass.
I did
for a
see
tape
that.
fist with glass.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I've seen that. Okay.
So it was a really cool homage to that. Again,
listen,
Tony Khan loves his ECW, man.
Yeah, and those women stock rose tremendously with that match. Now, it's not something they're going to do all the time. It's not something they're probably going to break out.
Can't.
No,
you can't.
But I will tell you that took the place of the best women's match in AEW of all time for me. And before this was the St. Patrick's Day Slam match between Britt Baker and I believe it was Thunder Rosa.
That was a wonderful match. And I would say that's probably number one until then.
And this match surpassed it. And that's it. So again, I really enjoyed it. So good for them. I thought the ladies killed it. If you don't like blood and you're wrestling from women, okay. But it doesn't mean they can't do it. I mean, all right. They're beautiful. I get it. Very beautiful women.
It was a trilogy. Paid off the Hollywood ending. It was going to be brutal. I don't want to see women bleed in my wrestling. Have you seen the promos leading up to this where they bled all over the place with heels in their face? Like, this whole program has been like that. What did you think was going to happen?
I don't care. Like, that's the thing. Like, it doesn't bother me that much.
Well, why? Was it entertaining, Drew?
Yeah, it was.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was very entertaining.
How difficult is that to get through?
Not at all.
People? Like, it was entertaining. Therefore, that's it.
Yeah.
Hurt Syndicate gets a win over the Outrunners. It was what it was. We never thought Outrunners were going to win, but it was nice to see them get that moment on pay-per-view. Do you think MJF's going to join, or at least hint at it, just to just to screw them over because he has just as big of ego to screw people over as he does.
It's like Owen Hart in the Nation of Domination. I don't.
Yeah. That's been the parallel people have been drawing, and I like it.
Listen, I think, if they do it a certain way where Max is kind of like showing Bobby and Shelton, like, hey, I know P's, he hooks you up well and stuff like that. But I mean, listen, you're flying private on MJF's dime. We're eating the finest lobsters and steaks. We're on a yacht, that type of stuff. Sure. That works for a little bit. But realistically, like, I don't know. I don't know. Well, I think Max spends entirely too much time wondering what the idiots online feel about him rather than just doing what's best for business.
Do you think it's hurting MJF's overall character to do these side quests? Jeff Jarrett, Hurt Syndicate.
Well, Jeff Jarrett where is Jeff?
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like, he did it. Now it's nothing. Like, he could have spent the whole time building something else. And like, now what is this going to lead to, in your opinion? Is it going to lead to a match or just a couple of funny skits?
I don't know. For me, it just didn't work. Like, I really like the Hurt Syndicate. I like the Hurt Syndicate, what they're doing. It was one of the best segments on the show for a show
like
that was
MVP
flat.
and MJF. I like those two as talkers, but I don't know what their correlation would be to a tag team that's the champions. Unless MJF's going to get a partner, like, what the hell are we doing?
Yeah, I just like the Hurt Syndicate, and I like what they're doing, and I liked what MJF was doing with Hangman Page. I don't understand where we're headed with this yet. I think that's the point of it. I'll wait and see.
There's no way MJF teams with Hangman to take on the Hurt Syndicate.
Oh no!
As a respect factor to team, and then MJF turns on Hangman anyway because he hates him. Yeah.
What I want to see is, we'll see if we get it. I want to see one of two matches at All In. I want to see Copeland and Christian taking on the Young Bucks for the tag titles. If that doesn't happen, then I'd love to see Copeland and Christian taking on Benjamin and Lashley for the tag titles.
I was going to say FTR.
That'd be cool as shit too. But
FTR versus Edge and Christian is badass.
Yeah, and I think that'll happen eventually. But what I'm saying is, like, I would like to see that. I would like to see Copeland and Christian as a tag team heading into All In, fighting or defending the tag titles. If the Hurt Syndicate is involved in that, so be it. Ladder match works. To have a triple threat, I don't care. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what we're doing with MJF and the Hurt Syndicate, but I'll tune in to see where they go.
Yeah, I agree with that. We had Kenny and Takeshita. Another wonderful match, as we figured was going to happen. Kenny gets the win, but we didn't even get to see Don Callis, I don't think, on Dynamite. We just got to see a Takeshita squash of Max Caster. Did I watch the same show?
I like how Max is getting like all the big time stars who are like looking to blow some steam off after a loss, answering his challenge. But yeah, again, Dynamite was meh. It was okay.
It's just tough to follow up a pay-per-view like that with.
And I think they had a lot of people who were banged up. Yeah. I think they had a lot of people who were banged up.
We'll talk about it now. Will Ospreay cuts his promo, but I'm sure he really didn't need to sell, but he was selling, like, him just like being hurt, getting into the ring. It's nuanced stuff because he's showing, like, I won.
Well, I mean, Toni Storm said she had glass in her ass. So
she's so good. Her promo, it's everything works. Yeah. She's like, put your keys in the bowl for this orgy. Like, she's a genius. Her vernacular is amazing. But Will Ospreay
cut herself way too deep. She knew it too. She knew it. It looked good though.
It's all a part of the trilogy.
Yeah, she got
the Hollywood ending, Drew.
Yeah.
Well, hey, it is what it is.
Here, man, you got me too deep. What's that from?
You cut out a little bit, so I couldn't hear the whole quote. You might have to do it again.
A little woozy here, man. Got me too deep.
Oh, is that Scream?
It is. Very
good. Okay. I was like, because I couldn't hear that first part. It kind of lagged out, but I knew exactly what you're talking about. Great movie. Fantastic. Is the original Scream your favorite?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm a big Scream guy.
My if I had to pick another one, it would be Scream 2. I just love the opening kill in the theater. It's just amazing cinema, as the kids say.
I enjoy Scream 3.
Scream 3 is good. I saw 4 in the theater. I saw the newest one and the sequel in New York, both in the theaters these last couple of years. So they were very good. So
theater experience. Go do it if you can. Speaking
If
of
you can,
experience, we want to thank all of you for joining us. We are at the Q&A portion of our show.
All
So
right.
get your questions in. Let's go ahead and do this. If you asked one before this, again, the producers got to search all the way through it. So just put it up now so it's easy to find. Parker's asked question: why aren't the Bucks and Perry back? Good question. I
Should
don't
ask
know.
them.
I don't know. I think LA would have been the time and the place, but we'll have to wait and
You would have
see.
thought, yeah, we kind of
Yeah.
speculated on they might interfere in God. Any of the matches they could have made a claim to be a part of, like the Hurt Syndicate, they could have made
Yeah.
laid claim for the tag titles. They could have been out there for Kenny and been faces, or kind of in between there. Jack Perry could have come out for any of the stuff, but nothing. In fact, there really weren't any returns or surprises that we saw at Revolution. Did we, Drew? Every match kind of ended, and it was all right. Next match. The pacing was very like breakneck. It was like match, but nothing really stalled in between. So I felt that was interesting to say the least.
Jay Coyle says, what do you think WWE can do to make SmackDown an interesting show, lacking compared to Raw? You want to know why you feel like it's lacking compared to Raw? It's because it's too long. Just like Raw was too long when it was 3 full hours.
Go back to 2 hours, and you won't even think about that question ever again. Because I agree, but it hasn't been.
Hey, Drew, the ending of Revolution and now the rematch in Dynamite. Do we see the title change? So I'm sure. Yeah, Billy. I think so. I think, again, I think Copeland has his finger on the pulse. He's very intuitive to what's going on with the fan base and his character, how it's presented. And I have a funny feeling that Copeland's going to turn heel. And I think he's best served as one. He tried being the guy who gave back to, having this open challenge for the Cope Open and blah, blah, blah. And people just, they were there for it. And then he got hurt. And then people are shitting on him. So why not?
Yeah.
Let's just go heel.
And I'm on board with that. I think it was cool from when he first come out and, came into AEW. Cope, what was Cope going to do? But at some point, you either are going to face Christian again or you got to turn. And turning with a guy, like I said, Christian being at the top of his game as a heel, it makes perfect sense because there's no way Cope would be cheered then if he's with.
And I think that Cope came in with the understanding and the want and desire to have a tag run with Christian before he retires.
Before it's all said and done. Like, why wouldn't you? Right.
Because they're both there at the same time.
To do.
Yeah, and they're both there at the same time. They have FTR, they have the Bucks, they now have the Hurt Syndicate, they have the Outrunners. There's a lot of tag teams to go through. Where did that go? Can we put that back up, please?
I didn't see heel merch.
There it is. Do you think we see new Cena heel merch on Raw? I can tell you that they released a Brussels shirt already,
and that looked very babyface. So I don't know what the hell is going on with
that. I'm pretty sure John will come out with that. I don't know. Sorry for my gross finger. I just noticed that on camera.
Oh yeah, a little thick. I wouldn't mind
a little bent.
I wouldn't mind if Cena, if they're not going to go full-fledged heel merch. I would love if Cena was like delusional and leaned into, I'm still going to wear the shirts. I'm still going to have the tap. Like, I'd love if he kept that, but was still a heel because everybody's not going to buy it now.
Well, what's interesting is that, John, they released the Brussels shirt. I could see John coming out, taking all the stuff off, laying it in the middle of the ring and like not throwing it to the crowd. And then maybe next week we don't get any Cena merchandise, but I think that John would wear. I still think they're going to pump unique merchandise for every city. Because whether you like the guy or not,
you're still going to buy it.
Right.
They know people still do it. So why the hell not?
All right. Have you seen the Evolve show? And if so, what do you think about it? I have not. I'll be honest with you. There's so much wrestling to consume. I have 3 young children and a wife who wants to vacation and watch movies and do all this other stuff, like regular humans want to. So I really don't have time to watch Evolve. I will catch it though. I'm still trying to catch up on LFG and all this other stuff. So I'm sorry. I try and do the best I can with keeping up with everything.
I caught a little bit of Evolve. I like Robert Stone and Peter Rosenberg as they describe these, newer talents. And I like seeing the talent try to get over. He's good. He's good. He knows his stuff, and it's like a first foray into play-by-play. So he's hitting the ground running with it. But he, as a guy who's been broadcasting for over 20 years, I think he's only going to get better. So
all right, I like it. Yeah. Another one from Billy says, now with Hammerstone done with TNA, where do you see him? AEW, WWE? Neither.
Yeah, that's a guy that I think would flourish on the independent scene and doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily need to be in one of the big companies to be successful, much like a Donovan Dijak.
Yep. 316 MMA says, question, Drew, I'm a Liv fan. How does the merchandise work? It seems like everyone's got new stuff and she hasn't got one since the summer. Well, she's tied into the Judgment Day.
Yeah.
I do believe you could see some unique Liv merch during WrestleMania season. They always drop them. So
By Mania, probably. Yeah.
I could see that. And I think that, it would, I think it could work and I think it'll sell. So why not? Why not? We got any more? We're out of here.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see anything.
Catherine Reed, we'll go to this one. If Cena had already booked dates for movies, why turn heel if he wasn't going to appearance? Because it's the perfect scenario for it.
Because that makes sense. If he was a babyface and wouldn't show up, then we'd be like, well, what the hell?
Right.
Why are you even wasting our time? As
John
a heel, it makes perfect sense. He's Hollywood Cena.
Yeah, John won the chamber, right? And he aligned himself with The Rock, and now he's nowhere to be found.
He doesn't need to be on TV, but he needs to be whenever it's, on his schedule.
Yeah, no.
He'll be there when he wants to be. Hey, at least be happy that he's not via satellite like 03 Hollywood Rock. So, you can't get everything, but I'm sure I like that his first appearance is in an international setting because normally those fans would be going insane to see Cena come back, and now they're going to boo his ass out of the building.
Maybe. You never know. That's what's funny about those international
man,
shows.
if they flip, that's exactly what I don't want. Because that's why they've turned Cena heel. It's like they don't want Cody to be the guy booed at Mania. It could have easily been flipped, but
I'm going to tell you this. There is a reason, and I've said this for years. There's a reason why Vince and co. stayed away from the international events, because you never knew what you were going to get, and he could never control the narrative. And at that point, you never know who's going to get booed. It's kind of like the Garden. You never know who's going to get booed and who's going to get cheered. So they're doing 3 weeks over there. Good luck. Scott Steiner, Big Papa Pump. He was just on CVV's show. Go watch it. It's very, very good.
It was.
He says, fantastic. Do you think Cena beats Cody at Mania? No, I don't.
Ooh, I don't. Why do you say that?
I think the Monumental 17 needs to be a joyous occasion.
See, but all 16 up until this point were joyous, Drew. Do something different.
I don't know if John's going to.
You would think people would want to see him win it. Now they don't want to see him win it, and he's going to win it. I like that. I don't know if John is going to be around post-Mania, like immediately following WrestleMania. So I don't know if you can have him hold that championship. He's going to be at the Saturday Night's Main Event in May, and he doesn't have to be on every show. Juice. What? That's a month after Mania. What are they Moxleying the WWE championship? I love how are you ignoring what Roman Reigns did as he was champion by not ignoring that. But Roman, okay, so Roman, but it's major difference is that Roman wasn't going away in December. Number one, number two, Roman showed up. He would win WrestleMania. He'd show up SmackDown. There was one Backlash he worked. He did not work the other one, but then he was back for the fold for a little bit, and then would come back and have a big match at Money in the Bank at SummerSlam. I don't know if John's going to do that again. I think it's too early to say, like, well, Cena's not going to be there if he's champion. Like, let's just wait and see. I think it would be really cool if John does win the championship, but I'm just not sold on it just yet. I'm really not. Really, we're going to be just because he's a heel. I think that's. Do you think that changes the dynamic so much now? Because everybody, like you said, everybody wanted to see it as a face, but now he's a heel. It's like, well, we don't want it now. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting. It's unpredictable, and that's the beauty about WrestleMania this year. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of things that I'm like, hey, where are we going? But it's okay. Unpredictability is the best part of the show, so why not do it? And I think this really makes this opportunity for John Cena unpredictable, because at the end of the day, if Cena was a face going into this and Cody was a face, quote unquote, but a baby face versus baby face, everyone and their mother's thinking John's going to win this sucker. Now we don't know. So it's a good thing. It's a damn good thing. I could see somebody turning on Cena too here and costing him the championship. A la Stone Cold Steve Austin might come out and help Cody retain. Just saying. One more question. There it is. One more question, Drew. With AEW hitting 628 billion, you got a lot of questions tonight. With Dynamite, what is the viewer? I'm talking about in the program. I don't mind your questions. Dynamite, what is the viewership on Max estimates? I'm not going to do this, Bill. Don't know. I'm not gonna be one of those guys. Isn't it tough to figure out the max viewership? Because it's not a traditional TV thing.
First of all, I got to say, the fans who worry about this shit day in and day out is ridiculous. The advertisers and the people who are writing the checks should be the only people worried about what the ratings are, not the fans. And I'm not, listen, I'm not saying that AEW didn't bring this upon themselves. I'm not. But at the end of the day, like, did you enjoy it? If not, then that's the issue.
You know how MJF, or was it Osprey had the tattoo of the attendance at All In? I want someone to get the I'm gonna get the tattoo of the highest rating that AEW gets because I love ratings so much.
Juice, thank you very much, guys and girls, for joining us. Juice, where can everybody like, subscribe, and follow you?
At Juicy Steen on Twitter and the Juice Box. Normally every Friday, but this week it already aired. This past Wednesday, I had a sit down with one Sam Adonis, independent pro wrestler, AAA wrestler. He may or may not be related to Corey Graves. That's up to debate. But he sat down with me for 30 minutes. We talked about the upcoming Bruno Forever independent show this weekend in Pittsburgh, celebrating Bruno Sammartino's life and career. Bill Apter will be there. Corey Graves will be there. And the legendary Stan, the Lariat Hansen will be there.
Wow, okay.
I'll be there. I can't wait. So check that out if you like Sam. He's a real historic loving guy. He loves the old school stuff, like 60s, anything. Student of the game. So if you like that, you'll like the interview. So check that out.
You like that? You like that. All right.
God, he sucks too. Kirk Cousins is just as big of a fossil as Aaron Rodgers. So
make sure you guys and girls go check out Bruno Forever. Is that right?
Yeah, Bruno Forever this weekend in Pittsburgh. If you're in the area,
you go say hi to Juice. Smack him a couple times. He deserves it.
Please don't. It's a public place.
Smack him. Smack the shit out of him.
I'll sell it. It's okay.
There you go. We appreciate the time. We appreciate the questions. I appreciate Juice doing this. I appreciate all of you watching it. I am at Andrew Baydala. It's right there. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and follow button on Final Bell Media. This is episode 10. Next week we're off. All right.
Ooh, finally I get a week off of this. Prepping for this show, dealing with Drew and Junk. God, finally.
We'll be back immediately following, but we are off next week, so we want to thank you all. Thank you for the love and support. Thank you for the over 200 people in here, so we appreciate that. You know, wrestling is, as I've said this a million times, but wrestling is an escape from reality. Escape your reality once or twice. Don't sit back, take everything too seriously. Love your loved ones, love your family, make time for those who matter. And this was fun. We'll have to wait and see what comes of the rest of this road to WrestleMania season as we get closer and closer to Revolution and All In. I'm Andrew Baydala. That's Hugh Springsteen. Catch y'all asses down the road. See ya.